Hello and welcome to another edition of Connecting the Dots, where thought leaders, game changers and innovators share their tips, insights and learnings. My name is Andy Walthelm and I'm running a Munich-based consultancy for the telco, media and pay TV industries. Today my guests are two old friends from Sky Germany. So here is Elke Walthelm and Jürgen Forscht. Hello Elke and Jürgen, hi!
Hi Andy!
Hi, Andy.
Great to see you. Pleasure we finally meet again here. So maybe let's start and give a little bit of intro about yourself and what you do at Sky. Please, ladies first. Elke.
Sure. Thanks, Andy. Very nice to see you again. I mean, maybe some know, but maybe some do not know that we have been colleagues many years ago. So I was delighted to hear back from you and talk a little bit about Sky. My role is EVP content. That means I'm overseeing all of our entertainment content. That means entertainment, cinema, Sky Store, and that includes from the latest blockbusters to big pop-up channel events, but also entertainment portfolio. We have the great portfolio of HBO, Showtime, but also Sky Originals. So things we produce ourselves, like Der Pass, 8 Tage, and so on. So it's a quite exciting remit.
Okay, very cool. And Jürgen, you make sure that all this stuff gets finally delivered to the subscribers, right?
It is like that. So again, a great hello, Andy. Quite some time until we work together. It's more than 2 decades now, isn't it?
Yeah.
My role in Sky, so I'm heading technology for Sky in Germany, and technology is part of the global product hub of Sky. So what's our mission? We deliver all the fantastic content Elke and her team is producing and the sport guys are producing from glass to glass.
So, but let's maybe stay with the content. The content pipeline is a bit dry, I think, but maybe Elke, you tell us a bit more about that. Sport was a big problem. Now we're at least playing in empty stadiums. How does it look like today, and what's the prediction for the near future, maybe?
Yeah, so truly the biggest shock for us was that there was no live sports during the first lockdown. So for Sky, where still the biggest audiences are created with live sports, of course, that was not the greatest things to happen. I mean, the opportunity for us was then to showcase our non-sports content a little bit more broadly. And that also paid back into higher viewing numbers.
But coming back to the empty stadiums, I heard a story, not sure it's true, that you played one and you had an audio, like a DJ who was playing the fan noises. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think that was a great invention by the sports team. And what the sports team that developed is to offer an additional audio option that includes noises that sound like fans. And there really was a live DJ to find the right atmosphere to the right situation in the match. I still hear that some people love it and some other people more enjoy the pure sound, and sometimes getting an opportunity what the football players or the trainers shout at each other. Yeah. And that also sometimes gives unique insights you never had before.
And what happened in there, just to give you a little detail in that, so the equipment to do all that stadium noise is just a couple of $100 of equipment. It's standard equipment, but the way how to use that to generate is absolutely fantastic. Great preparation, a new job of an audio DJ, which is part of the team right now, with pretty standard low-key equipment.
You should have brought him, so we could have done here applause and cheers when you enter. We need to re-record that.
He has this in his office, so that's enough.
Yeah, I guess so. Cool. At the times when we worked together, Sky was still called Premiere. There was no such thing as the SVOD players. There was no Netflix, no Disney, no Amazon. At least I was not on Facebook, if it even existed. So now you integrate Netflix for sure and some others. So how does that work? Are they friends, enemies, frenemies?
Look, it depends on what the customers want to see them. And I think for the customers, they're all friends and great offers. So our mission at Sky is to put the customer first and give the customer access to the content they love as easy as possible. We added Netflix, which is really well perceived. We also have YouTube on the platforms. We will launch Disney Plus. I think that gives you an indication of what the strategy is we are following. So aggregation play, but I think the most important thing is that there will always need to be something on Sky that you only get on Sky.
Okay, and you have plenty of that. How does that impact you on the technology side, Jürgen? I mean, integrating all this stuff into one platform is not a piece of cake.
Definitely, that's not a piece of cake. You know, our product development is now aggregated between Sky on a group level, but also between Comcast and Sky. So that's what we call the product hub. It's teams of Comcast and Sky joining together. That's extremely powerful. It's a couple of thousand people developing the great products out there. And all this integration is on a global scale. So all the guys you mentioned, Netflix, Amazon, and YouTube, they're not German players, they're global players. And here, I think we have the benefit of this big product hub and the power of that to integrate all this fantastic content. And I think the key thing is bring all of that together to a comprehensive browsing experience where you can search extremely easy with voice search, but not go to this app and this app, browse everything together. And that's not a piece of cake, as mentioned, but with a global scale, we can manage that.
Yeah. I was attending a very nice event this week where the CTO of Comcast was talking, and he was calling discovery is alchemy. So it's very difficult, especially if you have so much content as Comcast has and you're part of that family. I mean, you just mentioned, Elke, you have the public channels, the private channels, your content, Netflix, Disney, others, a plethora of content. So finding the right stuff, even saying this is available on our live channel, on our catch up, on Netflix, on Disney, how do you get there? It's tough, and integrating that is surely a channel. But without a good search and recommendation, things will become very tough.
On that one in, I mean, the good news is that I think we have quite good search, including even voice search now, what we just launched, that works really, really well. It's really easy to use. And on search, also for us, it's really important to what we call merchandise the right content. So when you tune in your queue box, you know, you have a first page, a user interface that already highlights you some content you might be interested in. And then it's really easy just to, you know, push on a button and you go straight into the on-demand experience of that content. So compared to the old time you referred to earlier with Premiere, with the old D-Box, I would say it's quite an advantage we created.
Absolutely.
Be careful. Andy and myself worked on the stuff, so.
Jürgen was a product manager for it at that time.
Yeah.
Good. So you mentioned aggregation play. So the super aggregator is definitely a strategy that many people, or many, let's say, service providers are following, whether that's telcos or pure pay TV. I think Sky in the UK has a broadband offering. You do not have that maybe yet in Germany. Are there any plans? Do you need to have broadband to bundle and be successful in the end?
I think that goes straight to you. I'm sorry.
Happy to take that. But I would answer that non-technical, to be honest. So in Germany, we have to focus to deliver a real brilliant entertainment experience to our customers. And that's our key focus. Different in other markets. So in other markets, you know, the time was right, the market was right to add additional offers. But we here focus on our entertainment experience.
Okay.
I couldn't answer it better. Entertainment, sports, and great aggregation play. So that's really the strategic pillars we're building on.
So Comcast has been on board since a while now. Do you see, I mean, you mentioned the R&D or development hub. Do you see a lot of the technology coming very soon? Like, do we have to expect Xfinity instead of Q very soon? Do we get RDK? What's in store for you?
I think it's not the key whether there's RDK in a set-top box or something alike. The key is what do we deliver for the customers. The forces of Comcast and Sky are joined together to deliver that. And if you take a look at the roadmap, that's simply impressive. So there's so much stuff coming in there, so much developments going on there. That's absolutely impressive. And I think that's the key thing in terms of functionality, convenience for the customers. Whether there's RDK behind there or something else, that's the least important thing of that. I think the functionality in front of customer, that's the key thing. And you can expect quite something coming out in the next couple of months and years.
Okay, so I'm excited to see more. Now, you know the famous question, the $100 million question. So now I either give you, what the fuck? I give both of you $100 million, if I had them. So what would you do with $100 million? Okay, ladies first.
I would probably throw a lot more money behind our original productions, because I think this is strategically the most important thing for us to further accelerate on, to build our own IPs, to own the rights, to have more influence in the creative process. I mean, these things don't come overnight, and we need a lot of help with a lot of, great writers, producers, authors, actors. So it's not something we can throw the money into a machine and then something drops out on the bottom. But I think this is something where I really believe we already did a good thing in bundling all the original production activities under Sky Studios, which was also a group hub, to emphasize that we're really serious, that we want to become the biggest European production hub. And look, 100 million sounds like a lot, but I think we could easily spend it on that.
100 million for content is peanuts.
It's not peanuts, so you can do quite significant things with it, but it's not creating me a sleepless night to figure out how I would spend it.
Jürgen, how about your sleepless nights? Would 100 million help?
If we could turn back time by just a month, then the answer would be, let's invest in Bitcoin. They just increased by 40–50% during the last 4 weeks. But more seriously, if you ask me, not for my responsibility in the company, but more in a broader sense, for me, for the upcoming years and even decades, I think something is changing out there. Social responsibility, in my view, is a key priority for the next years, to save the planet, to have a world for our kids. And I think this needs to take some priority over hunting for commercial success. And that needs to have a different way of thinking. So if you invest, there is no direct commercial return on that. So you have to think different. And that's something which we have to change. So if you ask me how to invest in there, I would invest in something like that, to say, let's be greener for the future. Let's take our social responsibility.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point. So in the end, you gain customers when you have great content that gets delivered efficiently. And of course, they need to find it. But the customers need to trust you. And it's not just your product and how you deliver it. It's also that kind of stuff, being green, social responsibility. And I know you do a lot on that front. So seems you're on a good track. Hey, Elke, Jürgen, that was a great talk. So great to see you again in an interview with you. I wouldn't have thought about that 20 years ago. Well, maybe we'll do that more often now. We definitely should go for a nice lunch together or a coffee once we can. Thanks so much for being here. It was a pleasure to have you.
Looking forward to see you in person, Andy, hopefully soon.
Yes. Elke, Jürgen, thanks very much. It was great.
Bye.
Stay safe. Bye. Ciao.